We're doing a SWOT analysis behind here on the board: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Here are going to be some of the benefits over today, such as strategic planning, risk mitigation, goal setting, personal development, and networking. So go ahead and enjoy the show. Cheers, friends. Financially free and enjoy more of what the world has to offer in this action one, because this is where most human beings screw the pooch. So a little one-person trampoline, very I screen shared it. Like, there's no excuse. Like, phone numbers are just out there. You just got to pick up the phone, smile, and dial. So good morning, and welcome back to another episode of the Talk Tanner Morning Show, where we go over tips, tricks, ideas, and exercises to help make you the absolute best entrepreneur you can be, not only for yourself, but for the people you love and care about most. Who do we do this for? Right? The ones we love, ourselves included. So today we're talking about a SWOT analysis. This is a cool exercise. I used to have to do this all the time in graduate school. Essentially, we studied businesses a lot, and it was finance focused. So some of those exercises and stuff were pretty helpful, but I think applying it to ourselves, something that I tend to rant about a lot in schools, is a lot of the information is absolutely great. Very, very thankful for the education system. Just didn't learn a lot about myself, or I'm sure you can relate. There wasn't a lot about you specifically, because it's really, really hard to focus on the individual needs. And I believe we're all unique in our own ways. And that's why we need to conduct these exercises on our own, because there's nobody forcing us to do this, to really understand the tools that we're going to be leveraging. So without further ado, so the structure of how this is going to go is we're going to go through all four of them, and then I'm going to pull up questions that you can save for later. You can save them for yourself, but these are questions that I really liked after I was going through full list of questions. The exercise I do in one of my classes is a lot longer than this, but for today's sake and trying to keep this sucker under 20 minutes, I just slapped 3 questions for each, and so we still have 12 to go through. So we're going to go ahead and kind of blaze through them and knock them out. And I'm going to write on each category just something for myself. It will be a personal example, but go ahead, use the same framework, write it out the same. Any piece of paper will do, whatever you got handy. That can be helpful. And you can always come back and you can watch this sucker on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. We're on all over the place. So feel free, if you missed some of the questions or didn't write down fast enough this morning, you can come back to it. So, all right, without further ado, strengths. First question is, what skills, knowledge, or expertise do I possess that sets me apart from others? And I think it would maybe be helpful to add this. You can do this for one particular goal. You can do it for like a very broad view on life. Just go ahead and try and find a rough topic, such as maybe Tanner's business, Tanner's career, Tanner's health, Tanner's job, Tanner's class that he's building. Something specific that you can start with a broad category and then kind of pull it all in through there. But first question is we have up is, what skills, knowledge, or expertise do I possess that sets me apart from others? What skills, knowledge, or expertise do I possess that sets me apart from others? So this would be under strength. Strength is one of the hardest words to spell. I feel like that's a word a lot of people misspell. And don't judge me on spelling it in the show, because I probably spell it all the time. But what is one of my strengths? So you can make a list, because I'm sure you don't need to be humble. You don't got to prove to somebody, oh, well, I'm actually not that good at that. People say that crap all the time. You're good at stuff. Write it out. Make very clear of what it is. So for me, it would be consistency. Something consistent. I'm incredibly consistent with my goals, what I'm working on myself. And that's a big reason why I got in the coaching business, because I try to help other people be consistent. That's a big reason why we're making money here, is consistent. So write out some other things that you're good at. And for time's sake, I'm going to keep rolling through the questions. What achievements or accomplishments am I proud of? What achievements or accomplishments am I proud of? And chances are the things that you're proud of is something that you're probably pretty good at. So we want to focus on here. What's something that I'm proud of? I got an MBA. Graduated college, was the first to get a master's degree, felt pretty good about that. And it was one of my accomplishments. And what's that show about my strength that I'm willing to learn? So you can see how you can take it a step further. So going through your strengths, answering these types of questions. Next is, what positive feedback or recognition have I received from others? This is usually a good indication of strength. And we want to leverage the crap out of our strengths when it comes to working with people, when it comes to creating a product to sell, when it comes to personal development. I'm really big on going all in on the strengths. Really, the whole point of this sucker from these other fields is to feed this appropriately, things to watch out for. That'll make more sense here in a minute. But our last question that we have on here, what is some feedback recognition that you've gotten from your friends? Something some of my friends have told me is that I listen well. Listen well. So if I'm listening and I'm able to interpret it, that makes a lot of sense for a skill that I need to possess if I'm going to be a teacher, if I'm going to be a coach, if I'm going to be an investor. I need to be able to listen to other people and hear what they're going on to really elaborate on the situation and plan effectively. So that is under strengths. So those were just some questions. And you can go over these questions, come back, pause this video, whatever you want to do. Next up, we have weaknesses. Weakness. So there's two S's on there or just one at the end? Okay, weaknesses. So these are, we want to ask ourselves weaknesses. These are things that essentially, I'm going to add this little bonus word on here, outsource. Outsource. The day and age of having to be absolutely, massively, really good at everything is far gone. I'm a big believer in outsourcing the weaknesses that we have. So we can address our weaknesses that we have, and then we can outsource them to other people that are really good at them. I'm sure there's a list that you can think of things that you are really, really bad at, and someone else in this world, in this online world, can do this at a very high level. It can help you take it to your next level. For example, for one of my classes, I have these interactive, gamified PDFs and templates, all of these things to bring massive value to your clients. I have no idea how to create these. I had no idea. So what did I do? I worked with a really badass graphic designer and had her lay out. I had the idea, put it out roughly. Then she brought the idea to life. So I couldn't have done that through, it would have taken me hundreds of hours of tutorial videos versus I just paid so much money to just outsource it and get it done that way. So that's kind of why we want to address this. So let's go ahead and get into the questions. What areas do I struggle with in terms of skill, knowledge, or expertise? I would say something like graphic design. Graphic design, designing in general, creativity, art, these types of things, I am not good at. It's just not me. Are there any limitations in terms of resources or assets that I lack? Are there any limitations in terms of resources or assets that I lack? Absolutely love Tony Robbins, how he explains this. It's not that you don't have enough resources. We're just not resourceful enough. What would be an example of this? First getting started in real estate, I didn't have a stable job. I was working commission-based sales, trying to sell houses, and then I found some rental property deals. It's like, oh, I need money to buy these. I need a loan. And I went into like 50 banks, and they're like, yeah, dude, not a chance. I'm not lending on this. Like, you don't have stable income. You don't have stable this and that. I was like, oh, crap. And I started asking the questions like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki, shout out to the GOAT. How can I afford it? So I started asking other investors, this is my situation. How can I make this happen? And he was like, oh, you just need to reach out to this person. So my weaknesses was my money was my money at the time for a loan. And then once you address this weakness, then you outsource it, you talk to your network, and then you come back to it, and then you see, okay, I can talk to this lender, and he might have a better idea of what I can do next. I'm not going to quit. I'm just going to start asking more questions. When I see these weaknesses, I ask, who can help me? Who can help me? Who can help me on that? That's a bonus question. And then essentially the last part of weaknesses was what past failures or challenges have I faced and what can I learn from them? So right here, if we're taking on the screening clients, I think is becoming more important for me. Screening clients. I want to work with people who want to work. I want to work with people who are ambitious. I want people who are going to be emotional and vulnerable, open to pushing themselves at the hardest level they possibly could. Someone who wants to invest in true accountability, who wants to go all in. I've coached a handful of people who it was like under a company setting and they didn't really want to do it. They didn't really want to be there. And I'm like, you're wasting my time. I'm wasting your time. What are we doing here? So if we can screen clients a little bit better, that was something in the beginning, I think this happens to a lot of entrepreneurs is, dear God, I'm starving to death. I'll take anything I can get. And then you start gaining more confidence and you build some assets behind you and start to understand that you're going to zap the crap out of your energy and burn out if you don't screen people and you're working with tire kickers and someone who's not serious. So that was under weaknesses. So these were questions that you should ask yourself to address your weaknesses. And we're going to keep it rocking and rolling for time's sake. On to opportunities. Opportunities. Good morning. Good morning. How's everyone doing this morning? Thanks for tuning into the show. First question under opportunities is, do I have connections or relationships that could lead to new opportunities? Do I have options? Do I have connections? Who can I reach out to? So I'm going to write down cell phone. So I have a product that's just finishing up in the next couple of weeks. I'm super, super excited about it. And I'm going to call if I have you in my phone, you're probably going to be hearing from me, that I'm going to go through every single person. I'm going to say, do you know anybody who could benefit from this product or service? Do you know someone? And just reach out. And I'm just going to look for opportunities with people. And these cell phones, I'll never forget this quote, someone talking about it. Gosh, what was his name? He was a motivational speaker. He's really good. Super high energy guy. Either way, it's my mind. It evades me. And he talks about how your cell phone, Eric Thomas. Yeah, Eric Thomas. Anyway, so cell phone, he's saying that your cell phone doesn't bring you anything but a bill. Nothing but a bill. What's your cell phone doing for you? And in this opportunity, I see my cell phone as a huge opportunity to go through people I've already talked to. These are people who love and care about me. You think they're going to the chances of them reaching out and trying to talk to somebody is exponentially higher than me just cold calling you up and saying, hey, I see you're over here. Just want to introduce myself. I'm a coach. I really try to help people succeed. I was wondering if I could have a minute to tell you why I'm calling today. So I do like that cold call script. It usually does work. People let me talk for a second at least, and then I can pitch the morning show. But it's not nearly as good as just reaching out my cell phone and talking to people who I've been friends with for like 20 years or my entire life. Okay, next question for opportunities. Are there any upcoming events or changes in circumstances that I can leverage? Okay, so are you moving to a new area? This is a great chance to put yourself out there and go meet people. Have you not since COVID gone out to any events in general? For myself, I'm going to put events. So I put down events for opportunities for me because I can go up to the Chicagoland area and I have a lot of friends there. And there's a few networking. Shout out to Ron Granato. This dude is a machine when it comes to networking events. Oh, gosh, his title insurance company has gotten really big. He's a total machine of a networker. Anyway, he invited me to some more events in the coming months, and I'm going to go up there. I'm going to hang out with him. I'm going to smile and then be like, please introduce me to some more people because you're really good at this, and I'm just here hanging out. So go up there, meet some people. That's one of the opportunities that I have in the wheelhouse. Have you been out to other organizations? Have you been checking other people out? How are you reaching out? What are some opportunities that you got in your back pocket? What are some events that you could attend? That one I think is absolutely amazing. Next up is, what technological advancements or tools could enhance my productivity or creativity? What tools? So for tools, let me get another piece of chalk here real quick. Good morning. Good morning. Thanks for tuning into the show this morning. So under opportunities, we wanted to add what tools for productivity. So I'm putting down AI tools. So if you're not using artificial intelligence tools, I think there's something, depending on how big you want your company to be, what you want to use it for. So examples like, gosh, it's called Opus. It's a video editor system. It's absolutely crazy. It's really good. You got to pay for it. Like most good things that work, you have to pay for it. Opus, that one's a really good one for AI, just cutting down videos. And then ChatGPT is the other one I use for a lot of my writing projects, a lot for just mainly for idea generation for the show. Absolutely crusher. Those two AI tools are absolutely amazing. So that's something that I have under the opportunities list, is those AI tools. That's something I'm looking out for. What tools could you use? It could even be Microsoft. It could be using their PowerPoint systems. If you have Apple, it could be Keynote. It could be using Google Spreadsheets to help create a budget for yourself. What tools can you use in the new world to help you be more organized, more efficient, and more productive? So I like that question a lot. All right, on to the last category. Good morning. Good morning. Thanks for tuning into the show this morning. We're going to be talking about threats. These are the threats that are coming in. So this is why I think it's kind of tough. I get it a lot from podcasts. Morning Brew's pretty good. What are some other ones that I use for it? Some people don't like Joe Rogan. I think Mike Baker, he had him on, former CIA operative. For international news, Jamie Dimon over at JP Morgan Chase. I like a lot of his briefings and interviews of what's going on in the world, economics and this and that. So I think it's good to touch up on that stuff, because the crazy thing about the government, they could make one law, they could change one law, and it completely flips an industry, right? So whether it's tax incentives or they just ban stuff altogether, what if they laid the hammer on some of these AI tools? Maybe they're laying the hammer on some of the mining that's going on in the Congos or whatever's going on. It's going to be threats. So we're talking about threats. Was that first question? Okay. Yeah. Threats for our industry. And for example, one of my threats right now would be interest rates. Interest rates. So when it comes to buying houses, I'm not quite to the point to where I can buy houses for cash. I do want to preface that people who are really successful in real estate, they buy a lot of projects with cash and then they refinance them. But you can make so much money when you're buying assets, when you're able to buy them cheap and with cash. So interest rates for me make it a little more difficult to, say, buy a property and have the numbers work. So right now, I'm more so just improving the assets that I already own, trying to raise rents. And so you can, not to get too much into real estate talk, but when interest rates go up, you have a lot of good renters come into the market because they wouldn't be buying houses, but they're not going to because high interest rates. So higher interest rates usually equal raising of rents, trying to get higher quality people into your properties. But that's a little side note. But interest rates is a threat because it messes up the timeline. Say if you need to sell quickly or whatever, you might not have as big of a buyers or you might not get as good of a price. So that is a threat. That'd be an example of an economic threat. We have elections coming up, 2024. To be totally honest, with the threat things, so many of us are just in the normal markets. And unless you're selling newspapers, like paper newspapers, and even now people are making a bunch of money doing newsletters electronically and they're getting subscriptions. So you're probably in a market that's totally fine, and don't let a lot of the noise or bullshit that's going on discourage you from jumping into it. I know there's a lot of coaches and courses, so something like would be a threat is competition. But if I just keep showing up and I keep focusing on some of my strengths, like being consistent and I'm listening well, I totally think it's going to all work out and be fine. Something I did want to talk on about threats before, as we wrap up this morning, I'm a little over time, so is bad habits. So this is ultimately going to be the major threat, right? Yourself, go figure. I am the biggest threat to Tanner Dewitt, especially living here in America, this amazing, beautiful, wonderful country. Chances are you're your own biggest problem. Chances are you are your own biggest threat. And looking at your bad habits and addressing the things that are going to stop you from getting where you want to go is going to be absolutely crucial when it comes to achievement, to living in alignment with these strengths and acting upon them as much as possible, right? So bad habits, that's what we're going to finish up here with today, is we want to address these bad habits. What are these bad habits? Maybe it is you eat too late in the night. I know this is probably, I believe, one of the hardest things to do for human beings in such a beautiful, amazing country, is to restrict ourselves from eating all this delicious food past like 7, 8 o'clock. I think it's one of the hardest things in the world. And it takes a lot of discipline. You might have to get all this food out of your house or whatever it is. Or maybe you watch too much TV before bed. When was the last time you picked up the book to read it? What would you rather do? What do you want to spend your time doing? Addressing that and then seeing these as threats and then combining them back and forth is the ultimate formula. So you can kind of see how this stuff all works together. And weaknesses, our weaknesses, we wanted to focus on this word outsource. We outsource the weaknesses so we have as much time as possible to focus on the strengths. We want to be spending time working on the things that we're good at, working on the things. I should be spending my time creating content and then outsourcing the graphic design and the editing and other that stuff, because I suck at that. I don't know what I'm doing. So if I can outsource it and then I can spend more time on what I'm good at, I think I position myself in order to succeed and just enjoy myself. I think people don't like doing things they're bad at. Do you? Do you like doing stuff that you suck at? And trying to find that fine line of making yourself well-rounded, of course, learning new things is good, and then suffering through something so bad to where you just quit. So I'd rather you outsource than quit. In the beginning, you might have to juggle a few things because you don't have a lot of money or whatever the issue is. But if you need help with any of that stuff, you talk to Tanner, reach out to me, and we can go over a SWOT analysis for you if you ever want to do this exercise. I absolutely love doing this stuff with people. So this was a SWOT analysis. This is how we know our strengths. You can go back and you can look at the questions that we did for each one if you want to rewind the video. Other than that, I'm peacing out of here today. I got a few things to do for myself. Happy Thursday to you all. And in case you needed to hear it, I love you. You're a badass. You got this today. Let's know our strengths, our weaknesses, our opportunities and threats, and go make the most of it. Cheers, friends. I'll see you on the next episode, bright and early, 8 a.m. Central Standard Time, with another episode of the Talk Tanner Morning Show. Cheers, friends. I'm out. Peace.